So we're recording now. We missed the
Perfect.
first take. It's yep.
It's just
Rookie
a warm-up.
mistake.
It's the practice run.
Totally. I meant it.
Yeah.
It's just to give you the comfort of the first time, so the second time would always be better.
I like it. I like having a little bit of a practice run. I seem to work better in these environments anyway. So good. It's good.
Exactly. So we'll start over. So thank you very much. Thank you for being here.
Thanks so
That's
much
the
for
second
having
time
me.
we're here. And how do you feel? Just tell me, how do you feel now?
How do I feel now about the whole Burj Stunt and about my life? Everything is good. It's I'm in a good place. I'm really excited about what has happened. I'm really excited about what's coming forward in my future.
And
Things are good.
I mentioned this before. I'll always think of it. The fearless Nicole. The amount of rattling of the butterflies that you gave in everyone's stomachs is just unbelievable. So let's start with this. Let's start with Nicole, the person.
Okay.
So where did you come from? How did your upbringing, your hometown, your family influenced you to be you?
That's a really fun question. So I am from a very, very small town. At least it was a very small town when I was growing up, of about 5,000 people in the middle of nowhere, Northeast Georgia, United States of America, called Cleveland. This is a tiny town in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. My family has been there for generations. I mean, forever. There's parts of the town that's named after my family. My grandfather was a Baptist minister for about 50 years. So literally everyone knew me and knew my family. I could never get into trouble, or if I got into trouble, it found its way home before I did, which was always, awkward. And I had I grew up with a really supportive family. My parents, but my entire family. So my grandparents, my great grandparents, my mom's eldest sister and her family. We all grew up. I grew up with all of them very close to me, and it was a really supportive family. It was always encouraging. They let me do the crazy things like climbing trees, hiking and being in the mountains. I got to do all these things.
Danger and daredevil stuff was always there. It's part of life.
There's always been a little bit of a flair towards the adventurous.
And you had mountains and trees and all that sort of stuff.
Got
and
it.
how old were
Cliffs,
you when
everything.
you first, fell off a tree?
Oh, I honestly, I never fell out of a tree.
Oh.
Luckily, thank God, I never fell out of it. I fell off the monkey bars when I was in kindergarten. I broke my elbow. Yeah, but I've always
And
had
you
that
used to
flair.
go and hike in your backyard, and
I
there was
did.
mountains and
Beautiful mountains. I grew up in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. I in my backyard, I could see there's a mountain in my hometown called Yonah Mountain, and I grew up in the shadow of that mountain, so I could see the rock face and the cliffs and everything. And
so fear of height was not an issue since you were a kid, because you actually grew up in a place where you climb up, you look down. It's normal.
yeah, pretty normal.
And one of the beautiful things that you've done in your stunt is greet your mom. And you just said,
Hi, Mom. I'm on top of the world.
how do you describe her influence on you?
Oh, my mom. She is the epitome of a Southern belle. She is very prim and proper, very respectful, very humble, very kind and welcoming person. I strive to be more like her every day. And the way I've described her over the years is, if her heart weren't contained in her chest, it would be the size of a hot air balloon floating above her body. Just that's the only thing that keeps it, there's her ribcage. She's remarkable. Like I said,
And
I aim
it's
to
just
be more like her every day.
The love, the way you describe it, the love that she gave you, I think it's just that influence itself, the comfort.
Yeah.
It gave room to all this craziness.
Maybe a little bit. She had an adventurous side. She encouraged that. She
She
was
wasn't
supportive.
worried.
I mean, she had her moments when I would do things like when I went skydiving for the first time. She was a little apprehensive, but it was probably because of the way I actually told her that I was going skydiving that she got a little bit, bent out of shape a little bit.
So did you tell her about this before it happened, or was it a secret?
I did. I told her about
What did she
this
say
before
about
it
it?
happened. At this point in my life, she doesn't really, she doesn't get surprised by the stunts that I do. She's supportive. She's like, is everything going to be safe? I'm like, yeah, everything's going to be safe. She's like, all right, cool. I can't wait to see the pictures. So she's super supportive about that.
Because she knows she's used to you doing these stuff as a stunt woman. So
she is now.
So really, adventure found its way to you. You didn't look for adventure. You actually grew up adventurous.
I think that I think it was just always in my soul. There's just always been a part of me that resonates with things that are adventurous or different or dangerous. Maybe that just feels like home to me.
So moving to Dubai,
yeah,
and that's a story that we talked about in the first part,
yeah,
which was very, very interesting. So I'd love to hear it again. How did that happen, and what made you come here to Dubai?
There's a very long story that gets me to Dubai, but ultimately it was to be with my husband, and it's the story. It's our love story, how it all got started. So I ended up in Dubai. I'm a professional skydiving instructor, and I was working for Skydive Dubai for some time as a tandem AFF instructor. And how that all got started was back in 2007. My first husband.
So you started in 2007, and you were not a professional skydiver.
Correct. Yeah.
Like, what were you before that?
I was working a high stress corporate job in the United States. It was retail, and it was just a hustle. So, I mean, I loved it. I worked for this company for nearly a decade, and I was good at it, but I had some things that just happened in my life.
It wasn't your passion.
It wasn't my passion. It was always what paid the bills. And like I said, I was good at it. It was easy for me, but it wasn't something that resonated with my spirit. And in 2007, my first husband bought me a tandem skydive for my birthday. So I went out to...
You didn't ask for it. He bought it for you.
I mean, it's something that I always wanted to do.
Right.
The whole idea of skydiving was something that was really exciting, and it was, kind of an expensive thing to get back into or to get into back then. And it was a gift. And I went out to, at the time it was called ASC, just outside of Atlanta, and I did my first skydive. A spoiler alert, that's where I met my husband. So I went on this tandem skydive, and it planted a seed in my heart. That was just the moment of stepping out of the airplane for me. And that's the scariest part, being in the door of the airplane and looking down, and, you see the ground, and it's like, it's almost impossible. Like, depth perception just isn't there because you're so high up. It was 14,000 feet. So I was standing in the door of the airplane, and I mean, I was hanging on to the harness, and getting out, stepping outside of the airplane was one of the most terrifying, exciting, liberating experiences I've ever had. And I took that experience away with me. And, it just left a huge impact on me.
It was home.
It was home. It felt like home. It felt like it was something I was supposed to do. But whatever it was, whether it was time or money or opportunity, I didn't exactly have the opportunity to pursue that. Maybe it was even the want or desire to pursue it at that point. And in 2007. In 2007. And then in 2010, my first husband passed away suddenly. And I spent the next year of my life just trying to reacclimate, trying to figure out what was important. I was just kind of in a tailspin. Like, what am I going to do? I was a widow at 25. And there's not really any books, and there's not really, a support system for young widows. And I just was kind of out of control for a while. And then I met this guy. His name is Dennis Tresh, and he and I are still friends. He's such a nice man. We met just randomly, and he started telling me about how he had become a licensed skydiver. And I go, that sounds like a lot of fun. I want to do this. So he gave me the information to the drop zone in Atlanta, which was called Skydive the Farm. And I signed up for accelerated freefall. So I learned how to skydive on my own. I went through the ground training and, had all that, the prep stuff. And I went up for my first jump. This was January 2011. And I fell in love with skydiving. And
was this before or after the accident that you mentioned in the first part?
This was like this. I lost my husband, and then I started skydiving. And then in June 2011, there's another spot in between here. So like March or April 2011. I'm a brand new licensed skydiver. And at this point in, the skydiving life, the parachutes that we jump as students are really big and they're cumbersome. And I'm tall, but I'm a small frame. And I'll never forget this moment. I was walking in from the landing area, trying to make it back into the hangar. And it was a long walk. It was several hundred meters. And I have this giant parachute on my back. And
you're dragging or are you carrying?
I'm carrying it. I mean, I'm carrying it. It's marginally carrying it. It's more like controlling me how big this parachute is. So like I have it chucked over my shoulder and I see this guy who looks really familiar talking to the drop zone owner. And like, I'm trying to piece it together because there's just something so familiar about this guy. So I walk up to him and I go, "Hi, is your name Junior?" And he looked at me really odd, like, who is this chick coming up to me, like asking who I am? How does she know me? And he's like, "Yeah, that's my name." I'm like, "Oh man, you took me on my first skydive back, a few years ago. And now here I am. I'm learning how to skydive on my own. And, thanks for the impact that you've had on my life." And we stayed in touch over the years. And then in 2000, this is June 2011, I was in a near fatal car accident. So my first husband passed away the beginning of 2010. I started skydiving, and then June 2011, I started dating my instructor, my AFF instructor, Jeremy. And we were in a tragic car accident. He was killed in a car accident. Someone ran a red light, T-boned the car that we were in, and he was killed almost instantly.
Sorry to hear that. Yeah.
Thank you. And I was broken from neck to waist. I had a broken neck, a broken back, 2 broken ribs, a broken tailbone. My pelvis was broken in 4 places. I had 2 brain injuries. And, the doctors basically prepared my family for the worst. They didn't really have much hope for me on being able to walk again, or if I could walk again, not with, without some type of assistance, or if the brain injuries I had, maybe I wouldn't be able to converse or have, normal conversations again. So, there was this whole fighting through all of this and learning how to walk again and just getting reacclimated to my life again. And then fast forward to 2015, you got to love social media. God, I can thank Mark Zuckerberg for this beautiful,
this platform.
Yeah, this serendipitous moment where I was in Chicago for an event, and my girlfriend had just picked me up from the airport, and I'm headed to the drop zone at Skydive Chicago. And I pull up Facebook and I look, and Junior had checked in to Skydive Chicago. He was doing the world record, and I was super excited about it. So I sent him a message. I'm like, "Man, I'm going to be there in 30 minutes. I'd love to see you. It's been a long time since I've seen you." It's been years, because at this point he'd already moved to Dubai. And we connected, and in that moment it was just like, I don't know, the universe connected.
He was in Dubai.
He was in Dubai already.
And he was in the States to do that.
And he was in the United States at Skydive Chicago to do it was a world record, 108-way world record. And he was just there. And like I said, I was there for a different event. And it was just, our worlds collided. And like all the stars just lined up, maybe Cassiopeia, that's my, one of my favorite constellations. It was just all, it was just all aligned, and we connected. And so I ended up, of course, we hit it off. Our love story is my favorite love story. We hit it off, and shortly thereafter, in 2016, I moved to Dubai to be with him. We got married, and
that's very beautiful. And the way it just happened after the accident is just, you deserved it. I think and how did that impact your mindset?
How did the car accident impact my mindset?
The whole experience, yeah.
So I had it changed the entire trajectory of my life and what I thought was important, because I came head on, face to face with my own mortality in my mid-20s, and these ideas and ambitions that I had of being able to retire early and to be able to travel the world once I retired. It nearly came to a screeching halt for me. I almost, had I died in that car accident, I had a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't get to do that I was just, putting off until I retired. If I, made it to retirement, if I had the health and the time to be able to do it. So it made me reevaluate everything.
Changed the perspective, the way you look at things.
Completely.
Made things clearer.
It did.
It's not because the world, the culture, the kind of everything that we live in now tells us everyday nags that you have to work, make money, save.
Exactly.
It's okay. Retirement, everything. So everything is about retirement. And then when you get hit with this near-death experience, exactly that. You reevaluate, you look at things differently. And I remember when I met you, I think it was a couple of years ago or a bit less, we had our first talk, you and I, and we talked about all sorts of stuff. And I remember till this very moment, it was very highly intellectual, highly kind of spiritual talk about religion, about cultures, about people, about how things happened. And now it makes sense because when you go through such experience, it just grounds you. It just makes you wiser on a separate level. It does. Isn't it?
It does. And, and that's kind of the takeaway is we're not guaranteed a moment on this planet. And that is something that I promised myself. So as I was learning how to walk again, and I'll never forget this. I'll never forget this moment. It's just still so crisp in my mind. I was at physio. I had a walker. I was, and I'm a spectacle anyway. I'm 6 feet tall, blonde. You can't miss me in most cases, unless, I'm in Scandinavia somewhere, which I've blended and it's really beautiful blending in. So I'll never forget this. I was on a treadmill and my physiotherapist, and I was in so much pain. Oh my God, the pain that I was in, just like my hips and just trying to walk. I'm standing on this treadmill. I'm walking 0.5 miles an hour and I'm hanging on to it. And it's agonizing, the amount of pain that I'm in. I just start bawling. I'm just crying because I can't believe that I'm young, I'm fit, and this is happening to me. And, I on the way home, I had that realization of, if I do not get my mind in a different place, if I don't change my perception right now, this is going to impact my life in a more negative way. So I have to think, I have to realize that as painful as this moment is right now, this is going to pass. I'm going to be able to get through this. I am going to use this as an opportunity to not waste a second on this planet, because that's what it is. How much time I had, and I thought about it, like this was an epiphany for me. How much time do I waste doing things that don't serve me, that aren't important, that are just wasteful? And it changed my perception, and it gave me a value of time that I can't even explain.
So do you think, the way you describe it is, the way people think now, and especially looking at you now, internet sensation, the first thing that people think about is, whoa, she's lucky. Do you think you're lucky?
Do I think I'm lucky? That's a beautiful question too. Do I think I'm lucky? I think that I have been blessed in a lot of ways. I don't know if I really believe in luck. I believe that this is maybe serendipitous, but lucky. I don't think I'm lucky. No, I think that I'm thankful to be able to have this perception and these experiences to give me this mindset and this awareness of how precious life is.
Exactly. And the way people feel, it's, people are tested in life, right? Through these kind of all sorts of issues that they go through, and problems and adversities. And it's a choice. You choose to react, behave. And then this choice grounds you, and it sends you in this growth trajectory of growing your soul, your mind, your spirit. And then something happens, luck knocks on the door, but then you're ready. So really, okay, people can say, you know what, whether she's lucky or not, but it's not about luck. It's about, if you hadn't worked on yourself for this decade or so, if probably you didn't go through these adversities, you wouldn't be, Nicole, the one that was recognized by this agency or by Emirates, and probably wouldn't be able to do it.
I believe that completely.
It's a journey of a lifetime. It's not just something that happens overnight. And we spoke about it in the first part, is when people think about any success, yours specifically, in my mind, I think about it in a way that, if someone never trained to do a push-up, and then he thinks that he'll be able to do 25 push-ups overnight. It doesn't work. There's a process, there's time, and then you have to go at it every day, and then wait for luck. Luck will happen, but then are you ready for it or not?
Exactly, preparation.
And then which brings me to my next question. When you were up there, You mentioned that you were thinking about cakes and cookies. How did you feel on the top? That's, you gave us all sorts of butterflies in our stomachs, and there was like goosebumps all over. What did you feel?
That man. So this is a 2-stage question for me. So standing at the top was a huge accomplishment because it was the climb to get up there. It was 200 meters inside this really narrow space inside the spire to get to the top. And being able to keep my mind focused on the task at hand of climbing the ladder rungs to get to the top. It was, it was grit and it was perseverance to get to the top. A lot of, I needed endurance and strength to be able to get up there. So
physical and mental.
So standing at the top at that moment, so like coming out of the spire and standing on top of the pinnacle and looking at that was just a huge accomplishment. But then and I kind of had that the anxiety reaction, right? My breathing increased, my heart rate accelerated, my hands got a little sweaty. And then I had these really weird thoughts of like, what am I doing up here? I didn't really have any coffee. You reckon Talibat's going to deliver? Can I get a coffee? Do they have a drone that can, drop me a Starbucks up here? Talibat, you should probably maybe do that. That'd be great.
That's a great idea.
So I had all of that going through my mind, and then it was the excitement and it was just so much excitement. Then it was the realization that I'm not finished yet. Like I'm 828 meters. There's still 2 more meters to go to get on top of this platform. So being able to get my mind in the right space of, all right, this is, the practice that we've had on the ground in the controlled environment. And now it's game on. This is it. This is the real time climb in the platform. So getting, from that, getting my mind in that space and then climbing up onto the ladder again, the last 2 meters, like that is the tip of the iceberg, right? So as I'm climbing, I'm thankful that I had the familiarity of the platform and where I was going to put my hands and how I was going to do that. So as I'm,
because you practiced on the ground for long,
in a controlled environment, which was so important, that being familiar with the platform that way was really important.
Which barely fits a person.
Barely fits a person. You got it.
Goodness me.
And it wasn't something that was just felt natural. It was awkward trying to climb up this. So as I'm getting my feet in the right spot and as I'm getting my hands onto the right spaces, and there's like a pole here, which is what I was actually like attached to, tethered to. I get up and I get my knees on, I get my hand on the back of this pole, and I find my balance, and then I pull myself up and I look. And at that point, like the riggers that were there are behind me and below me, and I can't really see them. I'm standing on the platform, and it is the most surreal experience I have ever had, because it is just me on this tiny platform and all of Dubai, 360 degrees of nothing but me. I'm the highest person on the planet on a man-made structure. And that moment, there's no one on a man-made structure higher than me. And I'm the first woman to be there. So it was this moment of like sheer achievement and disbelief and I just so much excitement. And I'm, completely humbled by all of this as well.
What was the noises up there?
It was quiet.
Nothing.
Because the city was still sleeping. This is, just at sunrise. So the city's still asleep.
Around 6 a.m.
Yeah, 6 roughly. The sun is just coming up over the desert. Wow. And it's completely surreal.
So how long does it take from literally the ground floor all the way to that tip? How long?
So we took the elevator to the 160th floor. And then from the 160th
And that's what, like
floor,
10 minutes?
No, the elevator, not too much. That's the fastest elevator in the world.
Right,
you can get to the 124th or something in a minute, and then change up to the service elevators. So maybe 5 minutes to get to 160, and then from 160 to the top was about an hour and 15 minutes.
That's a workout.
It was
climbing.
A workout. It was
so
climbing.
there are rest locations at every few meters, or?
Yeah, and I'm really thankful. The team that I work with gave me a full briefing on what to expect on the climb itself. My husband has been up there for another project, so he told me about the platforms.
Right. So expectations, you knew what you're getting.
I knew what I was getting myself into. That being able to rest and get off the ladder, every 20 or 30 meters, just to kind of relax and not fatigue my muscles before I got to the top.
But you can't do it if you're not fit. That's the point, right?
Yeah, for sure. You definitely need a level of fitness and endurance to be able to do it. But I think more than any of that, or just as important in any as that, is being able to get your mind in the right spot. And for me, it was just that. Like, it was a task at hand. I knew that it was going to be. I knew it was going to be tough. They briefed me that it was going to be a tough experience, but I didn't let that impact me. I accepted what they had said from their perception, but I wasn't going to let that perception influence what my experience was going to be. So for me, it was a task at hand. It was climbing one rung at a time, getting one hand over another, and just continuing, just one rung at a time until I got to the top.
Just persevere and go through it, and just trust the process and the experts, and things will be okay.
You got it.
And so you're an internet sensation. You went viral overnight. And I know there's the glamorous side of it. There's the fame, the calls, probably the contracts. But there's also the other side of it.
There is the other side.
Tell us a little bit about that.
The other side, so I think Emirates hit the holy grail of advertising with this marketing stunt. Because you watch this and you feel something. They capture you, whether it is complete shock or disbelief or fear. People, have those anxiety-inducing, moments where their hands start to sweat, or they get dizzy, or they get sick at their stomach looking at it, because, people are faced with their own mortality when they see that. So it's been controversial in like the best way. I love seeing, the people debating whether this is real, even though the behind the scenes. Yeah, I know. Like the behind the scenes, they're like, no, it's all CGI. It's not.
A green screen.
It's all green screen. And, so I love that. And what I really love about all of this is how supportive and how much positivity has come from all of it. People have reached out to me and, saying that what they've seen is, courageous and heroic for them. And they, I don't know, it's been exciting for them. And I love that. I love that people are finding inspiration from this stunt. And it's humbling. I guess that's about the best way to put it, is it's been one of the most humbling experiences of my life.
So do you remember the moment where you knew that they published it?
Yes. So this is a crazy story. I had no idea what day it was going to drop. With the initial expectation was that it would be released whenever the UK put Dubai on the green list.
Okay, so that was the agreement.
That was the original idea, and it just kind of drug out, and so I got to a point where I had no idea how it was going to be used or when it was going to be released. And I had gone back home to be with my family for the first time since before COVID. So this was, 18 months since I'd been home. So I was back home in my hometown. I was taking a yoga class with my favorite yoga instructor. Her name is Nancy Nestor. She's honestly one of the best yoga instructors I've ever learned from. And I'm in her class and I have my phone on vibrate. And about 30 minutes into it, my phone or someone's phone is going haywire. And like, it's, kind of disruptive because it's yoga and it's peaceful. And, you never want to be that one person in a yoga class. I never want to be that person. People
look at you and it's like,
yeah. And
especially in yoga.
I know, especially in yoga, it's so rude. But my phone, it was my phone. I didn't know it was my phone. Someone's phone was causing a disruption. I might have been judging whoever that person was just a little bit. Like, what are you doing? And then whenever the class was over, I went over to my phone and I had 300 messages on my phone.
In the span of
a half an hour. Wow. And I had no idea what was going on. Like my husband was the number one. Like there were a bunch of messages from him, and I open it up, and it's like the Emirates ad is live. It's gone. You have to check it out. You've got to see it. And
have you seen it before?
I hadn't seen it before. No,
oh.
No, I had only seen a clip that they had showed me. The production team had shown me just a quick little clip. Whenever we were,
but you didn't see the edited one, so you saw it with us.
I saw it with you guys. Half the world got to see it before I did. I think. So yeah, and I had gotten so many messages from my friends. They were like, "You didn't really do this. We know you're crazy, but come on, this isn't real. This is CGI. Is this you? You had a lot of makeup on. Like, what's that? So all these messages, and then it was people being really supportive, and It was bizarre.
What's the funniest message you've got?
I've gotten probably 4 dozen marriage proposals, and I go, and they come across my Instagram page where my husband is everywhere. Like, he's the love of my life. No, I'm not going to marry you. The funniest one that I got was, "Will you Marty me? Will you Marty?" Like, and all I could think about was Back to the Future.
Right.
And I screenshot it and sent it to my friend and sent him a picture of Marty. And that is his name, right? Is Marty the Back to the Future guy?
I can't remember now.
Anyway, so that I mean, I have people professing their undying love for me, and these things, which it's been funny. But more than any of that, I get people who send me these messages like, "You have no idea how much you've inspired me to do these things that I didn't think was impossible, to not let fear be restrictive in my life." And I got a message yesterday on Instagram. It was somebody in Dubai. I don't remember who it was, but they were like, my 4-year-old daughter, she's watched this, and you are her hero, and you've created this positivity in her life. And for me, I can't say this enough. It's just so humbling to hear these things.
It's so heartwarming when you say humbling, because there are 2 types of people when this happens, right? There are people that become more arrogant, egocentric, and there are the others who feel that they've done something, that they've given back to everyone else, and became an inspiration. So it's very beautiful. So this is a success at all measures, at all levels, right? With any kind of, anyone who looks at it knows that it's a success.
Right.
And people think of it as an overnight success. I know it's not. What do you think about someone who thinks that this is an overnight success?
I think it's an easy thought to have, right? Because it's easy to summarize what your perception of someone's life is from a 30-minute clip. Sure, I could see it like, oh, she was just in the right place at the right time, and how would anybody ever know the story, or how would anybody have the awareness of that there's a completely different life outside of that? So I can understand that. But no, it's not an overnight success. I've been a professional skydiver for a long time. I've been jumping since 2007. And, I've found myself traveling the world. I was the youngest person ever to skydive all 50 United States. And I've worked with different types of events before, and doing demonstrations and these types of things across the world. And, I've made some connections here and there, and this is just kind of one of those connections from the industry. I've worked with Alan and Marta Gayton of Prime Productions, which is the people that were responsible for creating or making this commercial, and yeah, so it's certainly not an overnight success.
The way I think of it is there's a combination between slight luck, which is your upbringing. You were born and brought up in a city or a town that has all sorts of nature that allowed you to instill this lack of fear from heights. And then your hard work. You're a hard worker. Obviously, I've known you for a few years now, and I've worked with you. And then there is the adversity that you went through, which changed you. It rewired your brain, right? What did you remember from all of that? How did you think? When was the time where you thought, you know what? No, I have to stop while you're going up? Was there a moment where you thought your feelings overtook your decision at a certain point in time, but then you said, you know what? No, I have to go through?
Never. That never crossed my mind. Stopping never crossed my mind. And and for me, and that's with anything that I do, it's always what is the goal? What am I going to do? And first of all, I would have never quit to getting to the top of the Burj Khalifa. Oh my God, that was a dream come true. It's something that I never even thought was possible.
You challenged Tom Cruise.
I love that. I love
literally Tom Cruise. There's a photo of Tom Cruise literally sitting where you were standing.
No, I wish I could get up there with Tom Cruise. Emirates, if you're listening, I really want to go back up there again. Let's see if we can do Tom Cruise. Let's get that collaboration. That'd be a lot of fun.
That's the next level. That's the level up.
I love that. That would be so much fun. It'd be really cool to be up there.
Tom Cruise, if you're listening to this, and I know you are, just contact me. I'll hook you up.
That would be, oh my God, that'd be a dream come true. Being up there with, oh my God, Top Gun.
Absolutely, yeah. I know. It's just, and you're so okay. So the humbling for me as well is that you're here with me on the very first live podcast interview with the first woman in history, the first lady who actually summited and stood at the tip of the tallest tower man-made in the world. This is amazing. This is no small thing. And what do you say to people who you inspire? What's your advice to them? You inspired a lot, millions, literally. I think no one on the face of the modern world who has internet connection did not see that. What do you say to them? Anyone who's aspiring?
I think just the biggest takeaway is don't take a moment of this life for granted, because no one is guaranteed a second on this planet. And do things that make you happy and find fulfillment. And just, I don't know, find what you love to do and do that and persevere and make that the purpose of giving back. And I don't know, maybe another aspect of this is the humanity side of things, right? Have those connections with other people. We are all, especially with COVID, we've all been faced with these situations where we have had to have social distancing and these things. Find a way to connect with people and enjoy your life. Find things that are fulfilling.
I love it. It's just the give back part.
The give back.
So it's really, there are two parts of it. There's the self-fulfillment, you fulfilling your own desires, but at the same time while giving back. So there's both the intrinsic and the extrinsic part of life, which gives you, it just feeds your spirit.
It does.
And this is what life is all about. Honestly, it's not just living. You see people on social media just posting about their luxuries and their cars and their watches, and they're just disregarding what us humans are, our spirits. And the fact that the first thing that came into your mind is so the word humble, you mentioned it quite a few times, giving back. It's just, I'm very, very happy that you're here with me. So last question.
Sure.
And it wouldn't be an escapade if I don't ask you this question. And I know I did for the first part and I spoiled it, but
tell me.
If there's one question that you would have wanted me to ask, what would that be?
I would want you to ask, what was I thinking while I was at the top of the Burj? What is it that made me smile while I was up there?
So
this is, oh gosh, so being up in, first of all, I wear my emotions on my sleeve. You can very clearly see on my face if I am stressed or if I have anxiety or if I'm worried about things or if I'm happy or, you can see these emotions very easily on my face. And I knew that I would have to get my mind in the right space to have that calm, cool, collected, happy person that was, portrayed on the images. And in order to get myself into that mind space, to overcome the stress and anxiety of being on, the top of the world on a man-made structure, I had to get my mind in a place where I was happy. And that was deliberate getting my mind in that space. And
you were consciously thinking about focusing on them. Yeah.
The thought was being in the kitchen with my mom and my grandmother making a holiday meal, because they're always my happiest moments. The holidays at my house was always fun. It was always crazy. There's always too many people in the kitchen. And those have always been some of my favorite memories of us in the kitchen. And that was it.
You're thinking about that happy moment.
I was thinking about that fun, crazy, chaotic happiness.
And it worked.
And of course it worked.
You felt the change. Once you started thinking about it, it just changed your...
I did.
Wow.
Having that connection. My grandmother is still alive. And matter of fact, I was just home recently and got to spend, we spent, so I have so many videos on my phone. I turned into a millennial. Don't judge me. Sorry, millennials. So no offense. I know you guys are very sensitive. So I was recording, we're in the kitchen and I, was recording these things so I could actually have these tangible memories. Whenever the time comes, I want to be able to actually have that and look back at that. But that's what I was thinking about while I was up there, was being with them, having their energy and having their spirit with me.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Nicole, the fearless Nicole. Thank you very much for accepting.
Thank you.